In quiet corners of rural landscapes and flowering fields, millions of bees work with extraordinary discipline. They gather nectar from blossoms, returning it to their hives to create a product that has been treasured for thousands of years: honey. But the process from hive to jar is far more complex than most imagine. This is the real journey of honey, from harvest to high-tech factory, told without shortcuts or exaggeration. It begins with the bees. A single colony can number over 60,000 individuals. During peak flowering season, worker bees travel from flower to flower, collecting nectar using their long tongues and storing it in a special stomach. When they return to the hive, the nectar is passed from bee to bee. With each transfer, enzymes are added and moisture content is reduced. Eventually, the substance thickens into honey. The bees then seal it inside wax cells to preserve it. Once the honeycomb is full and capped, the beekeeper knows it's time to harvest. To access the comb safely, beekeepers use smoke. This doesn't harm the bees. It simply masks their alarm signals and calms them. With hive tools and soft brushes, the comb-laden frames are gently removed, shaken free of bees, and placed into secure transport boxes. The boxes are moved to a honey house or commercial processing plant. Here, each wooden frame is inspected and any damaged or unripe combs are removed. The next step is decapping. Honeycomb cells are sealed with a thin layer of beeswax. To extract the honey, these caps must be removed. This is done using sharp knives or motorized uncapping machines that slice away the wax without damaging the comb structure. Once uncapped, the frames are loaded into a stainless steel honey extractor. This is a cylindrical spinning machine. Using centrifugal force, the honey is flung out of the combs and collects along the inner walls of the extractor before flowing down into tanks. This process allows the wax comb to remain intact so that bees can reuse it. What comes out is raw honey, full of particles, bits of wax, pollen, and sometimes small fragments from the hive. The honey is then strained. It passes through a series of fine filters and mesh screens to remove physical impurities. The goal here is to clean the honey without stripping away its natural enzymes, nutrients, or flavors. To keep the honey fluid and prevent early crystallization, it is gently warmed. This process is carefully controlled. The temperature is raised just enough to improve flow, but not so high that it destroys beneficial compounds. In large-scale operations, this warming is done through double-jacketed stainless tanks or slow-flow heating tunnels. No boiling, no pasteurization. Just enough warmth to keep it natural but stable. From there, it's straight to bottling. Honey is pumped into filling machines that are calibrated for exact weight and volume. Whether it's glass jars, plastic squeeze bottles, or bulk packaging for export, every container is sealed immediately to preserve freshness. Labels are printed with batch numbers, expiry dates, and regional certifications. Some factories print QR codes so buyers can trace the origin of their honey right back to the apiary. At this point, the honey is ready for market. But in a modern factory, the story doesn't stop here. Beeswax is collected from the uncapping process. It's melted, filtered, and used in everything from candles to lip balms and shoe polish. Some facilities also extract pollen, royal jelly, and propolis, each with its own line of processing and packaging. Every byproduct from the hive is valuable. Even the wastewater from cleaning equipment is separated and treated. The entire operation is closed loop, designed for efficiency, safety, and sustainability. Quality control labs test random samples from each batch for moisture, purity, pollen content, and any trace contaminants. If even a single metric falls outside global food safety standards, that batch is held back or reprocessed. The scale of some honey operations is staggering. In a single day, a modern factory can bottle tens of thousands of jars. Conveyor belts run non-stop. Robotic arms palletize boxed goods. Forklifts move products into cold storage or directly to loading docks for export. Much of this honey ends up in supermarkets, pharmaceutical blends, or food manufacturing around the world. Honey differs by region. In Africa, acacia, sunflower, and eucalyptus are common. In Asia, lychee, longan, and wild forest varieties dominate. In Eastern Europe and the Middle East, thyme, clover, and citrus honeys are prized. Each type has its own color, flavor, and viscosity. Some are runny and golden, others dark and thick like syrup. High-end producers keep single-origin batches separate and unblended, targeting gourmet buyers who demand purity and traceability. Beekeeping requires no land, minimal capital, and zero irrigation. For many rural families, honey is now a critical income stream. But the global honey industry also faces real challenges. Colony collapse disorder, habitat destruction, pesticide exposure, and invasive mites threaten bee populations everywhere. Without pollinators, agriculture itself becomes unstable. That's why sustainable practices, organic certifications, and ethical sourcing are no longer niche concerns. They are essential strategies for survival. Honey is more than food. It is tradition, science, and ecology in one jar. It is the product of countless tiny flights, precise teamwork, and careful human handling. From a wildflower's nectar to a sealed bottle on your kitchen shelf, this is the real story of how honey is harvested and processed in today's world. At Next Harvest Network, we bring you these untold stories from the fields and factories of the global food system. Stories of precision, innovation, and the quiet brilliance of nature at work. Subscribe for more.